Hello, BookTube. I'm Shawn the Book Maniac, and this is... What's your name again?
Kazen.
Cousin of Always Doing. Welcome to our channels. Today we are here to do a tag that we found on... Where did we find it? YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that site. Yeah.
And it's a fun tag. It's called the Book Scavenger Hunt tag, and it was created by A.G. McDonald. A.G. McDonald has a great channel that you should check out. He animates all of his videos. Just fabulous. And we have changed it a bit, haven't we?
Yes, we did. We adapted it.
Why?
So, because the idea of the tag is that you go to a secondhand bookstore, you go to a library or somewhere, and pull out books that fit the categories, and then read them and see what you think. And we require more instant gratification. So, what we ended up doing is we pulled books from each other's read, well, not necessarily read. I pulled from your physical bookshelves, and you pulled from
your Goodreads shelves.
Yes.
Mostly from your read shelves. Yeah. So we both have our answers for the prompt, but we've adapted AG's prompts to fit our needs.
So the first prompt is a book that reminds you of childhood reading.
And for this one, and we should say, we don't know what each other has chosen, so this is very suspenseful.
Dun dun dun.
Yes. Although for this question there wasn't much choice, so you know, but I found a good one.
I couldn't find your picture book collection. Oh. You're hiding it well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be so curious to see what you came up with. I chose The Secret Garden, Frances Hodgson Burnett, which actually is a children's novel near and dear to my heart.
Oh.
I read it. I think it was read to me in grade 2 by my teacher, Mrs. Hanson, may she rest in peace. And when I went from grade 1 to grade 2 in a red brick schoolhouse that was almost 100 years old when I went, my father went to the same school. Mrs. Hanson didn't like me. I was a little bit...
Why ever so?
I was a little bit naughty. And then within the first couple of weeks, she realized that I loved reading and stories, and then I became the teacher's pet. And she read, one of the first books she read to us in grade 2 was The Secret Garden, and I loved it so much. And then I found out that my father, my grandparents, had a 1920s edition or a 1930s edition with a beautiful picture on the cover, which I think I still have somewhere in Canada.
Nice.
So it's a very special book for me.
Aww.
How about for you?
I read that, when I was in elementary school, and I liked it well enough. I remember it well enough.
Yeah.
I don't have, not as good a story.
It's quite imprinted on my psyche.
Yeah. I'm especially grade 2. I think I was maybe 3 or 4, grade 3 or grade 4 when I read that, so.
Great.
Very
So,
cool. Yeah. So all the nostalgic books. Very nice.
So what on earth book did you find on my shelves that was childhood reading?
I had to stretch the idea of childhood. I went for a book that I read in high school, so I was technically still a minor, and deals with a character that some might consider childish.
Oh, no, do you think I can guess? No, I can't.
Do you want to guess?
No, I can't think of
Okay. The Catcher in the Rye.
Aha! It's not a children's book, but it's about a child. How old is he? About 11?
I forget.
14?
I forget. I've kind of forgotten almost everything about this book. So, Holden, that's right.
Holden Caulfield.
And I looked for something I had read while I was under 18. This is what I came up with.
Did you like it at the time?
At the time, I thought it was okay.
I liked it at the time. I don't think I would probably like it now.
And I recommended it to my husband before I remembered that, and he started reading it in Japanese, and he's like, "This is awful, who is this guy?" And I go, "Oh, that's right, And yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have recommended that to you."
One of my students did his bachelor's in English literature thesis paper here in Tokyo on that novel, and I had to help him with his final paper.
Was it an interesting subject for a paper?
I don't think so.
He must have liked it very much to have made it the plot.
And J.D. Salinger is now available in ebook format for the first time ever.
Oh, is that a new thing?
This month. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Way of the future. Number 2 is a book written by someone you've never read before. You should have had a few choices.
I had quite a few choices. I went with The Story of a Brief Marriage, and if you could help me with the author name.
I think I can do it. Anouk Arudpragasam.
Excellent. And I've heard of this.
You have?
Yes, and it was recommended by, I can't remember who. I don't think it was you.
I've talked about it a little bit on my channel, but I don't know.
Like NPR or somebody wrote, there was a great review of it somewhere, and because it's a book that's all one day, I think.
It is.
And that's sometimes a prompt in reading challenges, like a book that takes place over the course of one day. And the Sri Lankan Civil War, which I'm interested in. So yeah, this is something that's been something I've wanted to read, but I haven't gotten to yet.
I really, really liked it. It's just this much overwritten, but who cares? It's really powerful. It's just devastating story.
So
it's
I'll
really
go
tough.
in there. I'll gird my heart.
Yeah,
in there.
you must. Yeah, I hope that we see more from Anouk Adropragasam. I chose Temporary People by Deepak. Can you help me with this one?
Deepak Unikrishanan. I had it at one point. Yeah.
Deepak
Unikrishanan.
Oh, Krishanan. Okay.
Yeah.
Looks good. I've heard of it before. I saw it on your channel, but you gave it 4 stars. I'd love you to sell it to me.
Sure. So Temporary People, it's about the UAE because they don't recognize people who come in as citizens. You can't become a citizen of the country. So there are people who go there to work and have children, and none of them are citizens. And then as soon as they end up not working anymore, they have to leave again. So it's this idea of a temporary existence. They're short stories. They're weird, weird and wonderful. So there's a story, and because they're so temporary, they're also kind of disposable. And so one of the stories is they're building the city in these really tall skyscrapers. And the workers will fall every once in a while. When they do, their arm might go skittering off in one direction, their nose might skitter off in another direction, and then there's people who come and sew them up, and that fix them up again. And then, but after a while, if your finger skitters off under somewhere where it can never be found again, you're going to be missing that part. But it's about this lady who sews people up again with horsehair and other things, and the songs she sings to them in her own language. It's just this whole image. There's another one where somebody's tongue pops out of their mouth and it ends up going off across the throat, spittering consonants as it goes. So it's weird and wonderful. So I don't know if it's quite for you.
Oh, but yeah, I can see why you would think that, but actually it does really appeal to me.
Okay.
For a short story, I think it would be...
Yeah, it was really impactful. Like I read that years ago and I still remember that story really clearly. So...
And so the author is from where? Do you remember?
He's an immigrant. So this is actually the press. I can't remember the name of the press. They do a prize every year. One year it's fiction, one year it's nonfiction. Okay. And it's for immigrant writing. Oh. So he won that prize for immigrant writing for fiction, and that's why they published it.
Oh, I see. He won the prize and then they published it.
Yeah, that's the prize, is to be published.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. And I forget if he's Canadian or American now, and I forget exactly where he's from.
Oh, I thought he had no shirt on there. I was like... Oh, he's hot! You didn't tell me he was...
He is pretty handsome.
And he's cute. No, I wouldn't say hot. He's cute.
He's cute.
Definitely
okay.
cute. And he knows it. He's every
the
pose. Yeah, the shirt.
From Abu Dhabi.
He is. Born in Kerala, India. That is the state where Arundhati Roy is from, and where her first novel that I'm reading is set in Kerala State.
Hey.
Oh, that's fabulous. Thank you.
Prompt number 3, a book, and we decided to interpret this. You can interpret this.
Yes.
A book in need of some love, or that maybe has seen better days.
And because I was not working from your physical shelves...
Because I'm mostly a digital reader,
well,
so, and we're
even
here.
I didn't have access to it, so I chose one that didn't have much feedback on Goodreads.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That I'd like you to tell me about. It only has 175 ratings and 30 reviews. But it has a 4.4.
Oh!
I didn't don't remember what you gave it. It's called Letters from Max, A Poet, a Teacher of Friendship by Sarah Ruhl.
Yep, and Max Ritvo. Yes. So this is a story. It is letters.
Memoir.
It's a It is written in letters with a little bit of memoir elements. It's between a teacher and her student. And there's nothing weird, there's nothing romantic, you don't have to worry about that. But he was diagnosed with cancer at a young age.
How young? Child?
He was dealing with it in middle school and high school. So by the time he went to college, and she's a college professor, she knows that there's this very kind of not like adult, somebody who's thinking about things a little bit differently than most 18-year-olds. Yes. It's because he's had to deal with this cancer his whole life. And so they end up making a connection, even though she's a playwright mainly. But she's doing the poetry thing. No, it was a playwright class. I'm messing everything else up. But, it was a writing class at Yale or something. And then, and after he was in the class, they wrote letters to each other and was talking about his diagnosis and like the things go for the worse. It does not end well for him. Unfortunately, he passed away after his first collection was printed. But the letters they share and the connection that they have, and like there's some things like I'm not the biggest poetry person. I like poetry. but I don't read it religiously or anything. But seeing how an image from one of their letters that they share with each other gets pulled into a poem that they write, because they share their poems as well. And it's touching because of the cancer thing, and I'm not selling it well, actually.
Oh,
right
no,
here.
no,
I feel bad.
come on, I'm just crying.
Well, this thing, so this is a book, and when I did my review on YouTube, I talked
say,
about
I've heard
crying
you
in the
talk-
bathtub.
Heard you talk
Because
about
it was just a warm, comforting kind of thing, and then there were sad parts, and my tears would just fall into the water, and like that was the thing. And I just remember how beautiful it was, and the connection they have is so nice. I didn't have to worry about it turning romantic or anything. There's nothing sketchy about it, and just this communication and how that turned into poems and stuff. I just liked it.
Oh no, it sounds
So
like
yeah, I
it's
think I
something
gave it
would like.
4 stars. Watch my wrap up of it if you want to hear something more sensible.
We'll link that. We'll link that.
Yeah.
But that was you sold me.
Okay.
I don't usually like to read memoir, but that one sounds like a Shawn book.
It definitely, the emotion is there.
Oh, what did you choose for me?
A book that needs some love.
Need some love.
And so I went for something that looked like it has been well loved up until now, and maybe it shows that being loved. And it's actually a Henry Miller book, At the Smile at the Foot of the Ladder, because it's a hardback. It has a paper dust jacket on it, but I don't know if you can see what's going on here.
Definitely seen better days.
Yes.
So there's a story about this. I have never read it. I think I read the first paragraph and didn't like it, but it's the only Henry Miller in my library. It's a short story. I think it's just one story. Yeah, it's not a novella. 50 pages. It's a short story by Henry Miller, and this belonged to my aunt. And my aunt died the year that I moved to Tokyo. It was sad, but this was one of the things that I got. It was a box of books, and I chose 1 or 2, and this was one that I chose. So it has a little bit of sentimental value. I don't know if she was a big Henry Miller fan. Have you read any Henry Miller?
No.
This is the story of Augustus, a famous clown who could make people laugh, but who sought to impart to his audiences a lasting joy. I don't know why that's a but. Anyway, I don't really want to read about a clown. Do you?
Not particularly.
No, and I read the first. This was published 1948. This edition 1958. So I'll probably never read it, but it is, quite a beautiful book with some
it's got
illustrations. And I like the title, "The Smile at the Foot of the Ladder." But the only reason it's on my shelf is for kind of sentimental values. And yes, it has seen better days. Because I was thinking, I don't have books that are beat up, because I don't like having beat up books.
It was hard. And I'm like, this one has a dinged corner. Maybe I can pick this one. And then I saw that, and I'm like, boom, there we go.
Yeah. The used bookstore, what's it called? Infinity Books?
Yes.
Most of those books are in terrible condition, and I won't buy used books that are in that shabby of a condition, so I pick very carefully. So I should have predicted this.
I found the one.
Number 4, a story written before you were born. So anything before about 2000, right?
No, 83. But I found something very, 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 very much before I was born. It's going to take some muscle to get it up here. It is the Tale of the Genji by Murasaki Shikibu.
Yeah, just a few years before you were born,
Yeah, several,
wasn't
1,000?
It about the year 1000 or something?
I think it was about the year 1000. There are more pages in this book than there are in the year, like the date. So, because this is what?
So you will remember that Britta Bowler and I did a buddy read of this early this year, and I remember your comment saying that you couldn't imagine reading such a big book.
this was, I'm trying to remember, in college we were supposed to read, I forgot it was a shorter version of this, or if it was another one of these huge, the Tale of the Heike it might have been actually. But yeah, I kind of balk.
I loved some things about it and really deeply disliked other things, but now with some distance, it's leaving a marvelous aftertaste. I do feel a sense of accomplishment that I've read it. I don't know any Japanese people that have read it.
When the Canadian guy's the better Japanese,
Right. There's a ribaldry and a kind of hentai aspect to it that is also incredibly misogynistic in most instances, but there's also feminist moments in it.
Oh, nice.
Like, there's a whole bunch of things going on. It was a tough slog. I don't think you should read it.
Thanks.
But, I think you would find it so frustrating.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I read it, and it's leaving a nice aftertaste. Yeah, when I first finished it, I was just so... You want to put that down,
No,
don't
it's
you?
fine. No, it's resting on my shoulder. This is the tip. When your wrists hurt, you learn how to make do. So, no.
When I was finished, I was just so glad to be finished, and I just wanted to... I kind of regretted it and thought, what a waste of time. But no, it was valuable.
That's good. Yeah. It's nice. The ones that grow on you when you're done are nice,
does.
even if it's a bit of a process to get through it.
So,
ta-da.
Very good. I picked one that is from your TBR. The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman by
Yes.
Lawrence Stern.
Yes. So this book, so my most problematic fave is Thomas Jefferson, because he's awful on slavery, he's awful on a bunch of stuff, but he's also was an incredibly smart guy, an incredible thinker, and I've actually have his collected writings at my house. I'm trying to go through it. I tell myself, like, once a year I end up opening it, but at one point I thought I'd read that all in a year. Ha ha ha, it's like 1,700 pages. Anyway, one of his favorite books was that.
Okay.
And he would read it aloud with his wife. His wife died when they were quite young, after they had a couple of kids, and so she would be sick and they would read passages to each other. It's very experimental. There are some passages that are just like random marks and other things. And I'm like, well, if Thomas Jefferson thought this was funny, I at least want to give it a try. And that's one of the oldest books. Like, I put that on my TBR really early. It's like right at the top. It's like one of the 6 books that I still haven't gotten to after years and years. But
So,
yes.
I haven't read it either, but I'm going to name her, because she watches my channel.
Yeah.
She's not old, but I'll call her my old English prof.
Okay.
Because she taught me...
Your prof watches your channel? It's so cool.
Yeah,
Hi.
18th century lit course as an undergrad. Kathy James Kazen. She's a wonderful professor, and we didn't study this book. Which century was it written in? 18th century, I think.
Must be. It must be 18th or 17th, but yeah, probably 18th.
So it wasn't on the syllabus, but she described it much the way you did, in a way that just entranced me with that book. She just described it with such, there's a magic to what it is. Like, it's kind of like a novel, one of the earliest novels, and it has all this almost postmodern stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's just got all these voices, and it's funny, and it just, oh my god. And so this Professor James Kazen, how many years ago were you my professor? 1990?
10. It was 10. It was 10 years.
Early 90s. 1993 maybe. And I still haven't read it. So, but I've never forgotten the way that she described it. So I think you and I should buddy read it.
That sounds like a plan.
Maybe next year, but maybe
Yeah,
not
not
even that
soon. Yeah, but we can put that on the
on
list.
a long list.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, because I've always carried a torch for...
Yeah, and that would be something I'd like to talk with somebody as I'm reading it. Definitely.
So there you go.
Sounds good.
The date.
So the last one, number 5, is something that contains your first initial anywhere in the title, which means you could have picked any book.
Because I'm pretty lucky with
You're pretty
S, right?
lucky.
And the one I chose one that would have maximum conversational value.
It's a kind of
And
you.
it's actually on my TBR too.
Okay.
And that is...
I'm going to use my hands to put this down.
The Shelf, from LEQ to LES, Adventures in Extreme Reading by Phyllis Rose.
Yes. So this is a book. I actually have this as a physical copy, which is rare for me because I couldn't get it for an ebook for some reason. Anyway, she went to her local, and it wasn't a public library. It was one of these semi-private lending libraries, which have a history in the United States, and this one still sticks out. They still exist, I should say. And she chose one shelf. And what LEQ to, what was it?
LEQ
to LES. And she read every single book on that shelf, and she went through it. And I remember it as being fun, interesting, going into other things, and I remember I liked it enough to keep it.
I thought it sounds so nerdy that I was drawn to it, so bookishly nerdy.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't work as fast as yours, so I'm just going to repeat the concept a little more slowly. So she looked at the shelf, and it was alphabetical by author? Or by title?
I think it must have been by author. I think she was in fiction, I believe. She had to be in fiction, otherwise it would be Dewey Decimal. So but
one shelf only. It started at LEQ and went to LES, and she read all those books. So the only thing that they had in common was the alphabet of their...
It's basically a random selection of fiction.
So random. And that just sounds...
In
completely nerdily, ridiculously fascinating to me.
It was cool, and I remember she pulled in other stuff as well. It's not just, you know, this book, then I read this book kind of thing. So
and she made connections and brought in other reading and stuff, but you did like it.
I liked it. I liked it, and I liked enough to keep it, which is a lot for me because I don't have a lot of bookshelf space. So for me to keep a hardcover, especially, I liked it at least that much.
It was a while ago.
It was a while. Yeah, it was before BookTube, definitely, maybe 3 years ago.
I've always been interested in that one.
Yeah,
I think I might have heard her interviewed on a podcast or something years ago. How about you?
Yes, okay, phew. I didn't make sure this one because
we're looking for K.
Not the simplest. It was more than I thought, but I could go through a whole shelf. Yeah, I was finding more in authors because in Japanese, K is a rather common consonant sound. So I was like, hey, this author, no. Or Kweki Imezi. I'm like, no. But I ended up with because I know you love this one, right? The One Who Did Not Ask by Alti Fatima. Because this was one, if I'm now, correct me if I'm wrong, that you weren't sure going in, but you ended up loving it or something? No, I'm wrong.
I was always excited about it. Mm-hmm. And it took me about 3 months to read. I'll just mention the translator's name.
Oh, sorry, yes.
No, translated from the Urdu by Roxana Ahmad. And, oh, look, it matches my blouse. God, it just disappears into my blouse.
It does. You can be camouflaged for the book.
This is out of print, so it's not easy to find, but you can find it. And I have raved about it. 2 new booktubers read it for Women in Translation this month online. And they've ordered it off A-Books or something. Mm-hmm. And it is set in pre-partition India about a Muslim family that are quite well off. And that centers on a rebellious, independent-minded daughter. And for me, the heart of the novel is her friendship with a Chinese laborer. Mm. So there's that multicultural thing going on, which is shockingly unusual for this kind of literature. Mm-hmm. I absolutely loved it. It needs more glossary. It needs to be reprinted with a better glossary. There's so many untranslated words, and it's really hard to keep track of all the characters with all the nicknames. And it's
That's
an
what I remembered.
extended family. So I had to give up on the extended family, and I just kept the immediate family in my mind, and just enjoyed the. I don't know whose aunt and uncle this is, but I'll just keep reading type thing.
Yep.
But the core of the immediate nuclear family and the friendship between Gaiti and the Chinese guy, and the other guy whose name has gone out of my head, I'll never forget it. So, yeah.
I remember thinking when you were describing it, oh, that sounds great. And then you're like, I wish there were a family tree. And I'm like, I do not like books that end up with family trees because they end up usually being multi-generational family stories. And while I can do okay with those, like A Place for Us, technically, I guess, is a multi-generational family story, mostly one generation. Maybe that's why I got along with it. But things where family connections become much more important and distant relatives and stuff, I just start, like you, you have to forget those people. And I have a hard time doing that.
But if there's a family tree in the book, does it help you? Or you still
It's usually a sign that it's not going to be for me.
So maybe this won't.
Yeah.
But if you read it the way I did and just focus on that core group, but
I would have to let them go. I would feel so bad. Like, who are you? And I have to not care. Like, no, it's I would probably.
So it might not.
It would be too much work to keep track of everything.
This took about 4 months or something, 3 or 4 months to read. And when I finally filmed my review, because I started for Women in Translation month last year. Alta Fatima was still alive. She was like 96, and she died the week I was filming. In between the time that I filmed the review and I was editing, I just double-checked again, and she had died. So I put that into my review, and then her granddaughter commented on my review.
Oh my gosh.
They found my review. It's like, oh.
Yeah,
so
wow.
I was in Twitter contact with the translator.
Yeah.
So maybe the translator put them over to my... I don't know, but it was really... There was a couple family members that commented. So that was really special.
Yeah, that's
so
really
this is a very special book for me.
I'm glad she was able to live to such a wonderful old age.
Yeah. We are done.
We are done.
So now we just have to tag some people. We are tagging people. You could, if you have a BookTube friend or somebody else that you want to do our version of this tag, you can. But otherwise, go back to AG's original tag where you go to a library or a bookstore to find your answers.
I tag Priscilla at Bookie Charm and Yvette at Book Cave because they're sisters, and they can do this the same way we did. They both live in Houston.
Oh, fabulous.
And I also tag Shawn Reads.
Oh, lovely.
Because she
I want to tag Shawn Reads.
No, you're too late. Sorry. Because she can do it with her partner there.
Yeah, Bert.
So there you go. So I took all the good ones. Your turn.
Well, I will tag Greg of Supposedly Fun because he goes to both a library and a used bookstore in his town. And Leo of A Little Book Life. I think her real name is Veronica of V's Reads and Rambles. Celia. I tag Celia. All right, so this was fun.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Nice to see you as always.
Yes.
Thank you for the tea.
We've had a good day. We got videos coming out the wazoo.
Yes. I don't want to say anything more.
Did I say that out loud?
No.
I can't blame the wine. Can I blame the coffee?
Yeah, the caffeine did us in.
Thanks for watching.